Buongiorno, everybody. We're here, and I am today coming through on a promise. Today is Tiramisu Day. Now, I'm going to start this again by saying thank you to all of you for supporting me and everything that I've been doing. And so even though I said I was going to give this recipe out if I won that chef contest, I'm giving it out anyway because you guys are just awesome. So I have never in the 30 years that I have been creating my tiramisu recipe, so to speak, have I ever given it out. So this is a first, and I'm doing it out in the public. We're going to start with a couple of different, so there's a few steps here. So the first thing I made my espresso. So I have an espresso pot right here, see it? And I made a big pot of espresso. So before I do anything else, because it's hot, I want it to cool off because I'm going to be dipping my fingers in it. This is a messy, sticky recipe. All right, so I'm going to put it in this container to cool off. Okay, I'm going to let that cool right now. I don't want to put the alcohol in it yet because this is hot, and I want it to cool off before I put the liquor in it because I want the alcohol not to burn off. Now, let me talk to you about the alcohol. There are lots of recipes out there that call for different kinds. My favorite concoction is half espresso, good Italian espresso, not cheap crap, and some coffee liqueur. So this is Borghetti. This is an Italian one. You can use Kahlua. You can use Tia Maria. You can use a store brand coffee liqueur. If you use a store brand one, maybe use a splash more because I don't know if it's as strong flavored as this. But anyway, my favorites are the Borghetti when I have it, and if not, Kahlua. Although Tia Maria is really good too. Kind of go with which one's on sale of the three of them. But anyway, so today we've got this. Now, in Italy, oftentimes, there are other recipes. You can use marsala, which is supposedly one of the traditional, because this is a Sicilian. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a Sicilian recipe. I always treat it like it is, but I don't think it is. I think it's a more northern. But anyway, marsala is a typical rum, so this is a good Venezuelan rum. Rum is also another one. And I have run across people who make it with amaretto. I don't, but I love amaretto, so it can't be bad. But today, we're doing what I usually do, my recipe. I do half cafe and half liquore di cafe. So it's purely a coffee flavored thing. I'm not gonna mix that in yet. We're gonna wait for a few minutes because that's the last part we're gonna do. It's still gonna be warm when I do it, but it's okay. Warm is okay, hot is not. Now, I am going through some pieces here because these are important. Real tiramisu is made with raw eggs. Now, in Italy, using raw eggs is no big deal because they were plucked from the chicken yesterday and they were served today. So they're fresh. They get washed. The protective coating on the eggshell is diminished. That's why when you go to Europe, you'll see eggs in a bowl on a table because they still have their protective coating, which keeps them fresh. Because ours are washed and purified and all that stuff, because they're in these hen houses that are overcrowded and stuff all over their eggs, they have to wash them with whatever they wash them with. I don't even want to know. And so they have to be kept refrigerated. I still leave eggs out sometimes. I don't really worry about them. Haven't died yet. But anyway, so that's the thing about the eggs. So because of that, some people are nervous about making tiramisu because of the raw eggs. So I'm going to do it one way and I'm going to explain it the other way. I'm going to do it the real way. Both ways taste good. And in fact, sometimes I kind of like the way when I cook the eggs. So one of the tricks, if you're concerned about the eggs, is separate out your egg yolks. And instead of using the egg whites, you'll use whipping cream. Now, I use both because I like using my egg whites and I buy organic eggs, so I don't find a problem with it. But if you do, then you're going to make almost like a zabaglione, which is, I'm going to go ahead and do the egg yolks this way anyway, just because I'm going to show you how I do it. It doesn't change the flavor, and if anything, sometimes it makes it almost a little thicker and creamier. So anyway, I'm going to turn this on. So basically double boiler. I'm going to throw in some sugar. So basically I'm just going to whisk these up until they get a little foamy before I would mix them in with my concoction. So the most important ingredient in tiramisu is mascarpone. Now, I'm doubling my recipe, you know, as I usually do, but here's your recipe. About 600 grams of mascarpone, 6 eggs, 6 yolks, and 6 whites. Now, if you don't want to do the whites and you want to cook up your yolks, then you're just going to use some whipped cream. But see, what I like to do is I like to do all these things and add a little heavy cream to it. It kind of thins and smooths it out and adds a little bit more lightness to it. I love it. So anyway, I've let this sit out for a while, so it's kind of room temp. You don't want it to be too hard. Either that or you gotta use the mixer, and I don't wanna use the mixer. I'm gonna do it by hand. I'm gonna try anyway. And basically what you do is you wait till the edges just get a little frothy. And basically it's the texture of a, you know, like a fried egg, you know, the inner soft, the soft boiled egg or a fried egg. All right, so this is getting nice and foamy already because I had this water hot. I'm just gonna turn that off. Okay, so that's like a little bit cooked. Now I'm gonna tell you this, you don't have to do that. You can just take your eggs and beat the heck out of them with your sugar and you're okay. But for those of you that are concerned about eggs, so see, I'm covering all your arguments here. So see, you can see it's like a little, I don't know if you can see, it's a little foam. So normally it would be 6 egg yolks beaten up or frothed over the hot water, and 6 egg whites that are beaten in the mixer, and they're already here, nice and already frothed. Whee! Okay. Ooh, I love this cream. Is like one of my favorite things. It really, really is. So now I'm going to go ahead and mix the rest of the sugar. So everything is 6s. So it's 6 egg yolks, 6 egg whites, 600 grams, and 6 teaspoons or tablespoons, 6 spoonfuls. My original recipe is written down by my friend Giovanni, who's from Sicily, who is a chef, and he works in Panarea, which is this beautiful little island off of Sicily. And he cooks for like the rich and famous. It's pretty cool. But he used to work at my dad's restaurant years ago. And he's the one that gave me my first tiramisu recipe. I was probably, I don't know, 21, 2, 3, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this in with my mascarpone. Now remember, I am making a bigger batch. Yours won't be this big. I doubled it because I'm gonna make a lot of it. And this helps because this is just warm. It's not really, you know, burning hot. It helps melt down the mascarpone. And you may want to get your mixer out. If it's not room temperature, you don't want lumps. You don't want lumps in your mascarpone. So, you know, or as some people say, please do me a favor. Okay, sorry, I was about to say, some people say, do not call this cheese that is in here mascarpone. Okay, it's M-A-S, not M-A-R. So please, if you say it wrong, fix it now before I ever hear you say it's mascarpone. The A-R is after the C, not before. It's not mascarpone. It's mascarpone. But if you want to say it American-wise, still get your letters right, okay? Just a peeve of mine. Can't stand when I hear mascarpone. It makes me mad. It's almost there, but I'm going to throw it in the mixer just to get it nice and creamy because I want to show you how beautiful it can be. heavenly. I don't know what it is. All it is mascarpone, egg yolks, and sugar. It is to die for. Now, here's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna make a little bit of whipped cream. This is my whipped cream maker from Pampered Chef. I love it. It makes whipped cream in like 30 seconds. You can tell when it gets thick. And I just love. Look at that. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. So now, if you don't want to use the egg whites, just add whipped cream. Because you do need to have it break up a little bit, because it is really yummy rich, just as it is. But you want it to be a little fluffier. Now, if I was going to do this with just the whipped cream and not the egg whites, I would probably do 2 or 3 of these containers. So about 2 to 3 cups of whipped cream. You can put in as much or as little as you like. It's really not an exact science in my house. But I am going to add some of the whites. And actually, because I want you to see it, I'm going to put it back in the glass bowl. So I'm going to put in some of this beautiful egg white. And I'm just going to fold it in. And you know, you got to do this. Yeah. Yep, that's good. Okay. The coffee is barely lukewarm, which now I'm going to add this to it. So you can see it's about 1 inch. It's gonna be a little. I don't quite put as much. Maybe. There we go. It's all the same flavor. Coffee. And then move this here for a minute. I'm going to take my cake that I made, and I'm just going to cut this. So you're going to see. So basically, I cut this into pieces. You know, you can cut it, and it depends. I mean, sometimes I cut them smaller. Most of the time I leave them about, what's that, about 1/2 inch. And then, now sometimes when I make a double recipe of this, it's fluffier, and then I'll cut it in half. This way, like that one I made kind of fat, so I'm going to go this way. Because I just... And here I have my own Ladyfingers. Okay, so now, these are the ones we made individually. And even though they poofed, they're still thinner. This is a little thicker and a little, it's very spongy, and it just, it's the same basic recipe, just done a little different, so it's all the same flavor. But I feel like this holds up. This is my secret. This is what makes, I think, personally, what makes my tiramisu the way it is. But we're gonna make a small one, these, afterwards, and that's it. All right, so now it's assembly time. Now, I like using it in a pretty, because this is a cake that you don't obviously dump out. You put it in something nice, so you can put it in a nice looking tray. You can put it in a glass one, because then everybody can see the layers. So we're going to make a little one in the glass so you can see it afterwards. But first things first. So here we go. We have our coffee and our liquor. And we are going to not drop our tiramisu. So all you do is you dunk these in completely, give them a little squeeze, but not too much because you want them to be moist, and then just start making a layer. And cut these all the way through. Your hands get sticky because, you know, the liquor has sugar in it. And you definitely want to make sure that this is gone. So you want to stick it in there and squeeze it, but you want to make sure that the coffee's gone all the way through. I can't stand when I cut into a tiramisu and you see cake that hasn't been soaked. So you squeeze it, you know, once or twice. But see, they hold their shape. And then you can just, you know, this is too long there, so you just break up the pieces and you stick them in the little corners where it doesn't matter what they really look like. So you see, I have my first layer with loaded with coffee. And if you're feeling like you didn't get enough, and you just do this, but I know I got enough. So now, it's beautiful. Now some people will put some of the cream on the bottom. I don't think you need it because it soaks through and it just is fine. What did I do with my little, there it is, my little offset spatula. This is Pampered Chef too, just in case, because this way you're not getting your hand in all the cream. Even though if you get your hand in the cream, you get to lick your fingers, but you know, you don't want to do that when you're making it for company. So you want to make this nice and even. Make sure it gets down in all the nooks and crannies. And even though those things are you know, packed in there nice and tight, you'd be surprised how much of this stuff soaks down in between. And you want a nice layer. You don't want to make it too thin. So when I do it this way, my tiramisu is only usually 2 layers of the cake stuff. Now, when I do those homemade fingers, they're a little thinner, so I usually end up with 3 layers. Okay, so you can see here, a nice layer of crema, my mascarpone. Oh, and I have to tell you something else. Sometimes, you know, you got a little piece over here, oops, that's broken. So you have to like test it. So you go like this. Oh, look. It's a tiramisu bite. I don't care how many years I've been making this. I just love this. There's always something left over no matter how perfectly you try. There's either some cream left over or there's some cake left over. The cake you can turn into biscotti. The cream is really like a nice cookie dip. You can, any little simple cookie, you can spread this on it and it's like a little mini treat. Okay, I'm gonna make it nice and neat. Make sure it's all covered on top because that gets all the cream falling in all the nooks and crannies, keeps everything nice and moist. Come on. The cacao. Cacao is cocoa in Italian. So we're just gonna get a little bit of cacao. This is a nice dark chocolate. I'm gonna sprinkle it over the whole top. Some people do it thinner, some people do it like completely. I like it to be looking like it's sprinkled. Well, now I just got a little heavier there, so I'm gonna go a little heavier. And you take your towel and you wipe your edges, because you know, if you're going to somebody's house, it's gotta look good. And we have one heavy duty, big, beautiful tiramisu. Now, very quickly, just set this in front. I'm gonna make, let's see if I have enough coffee stuff to make a small one out of these babies. So, what I'm gonna do here is take these, and they soak up much quicker. Although, don't let it be fooled, don't be fooled, because with the sugar on top, these are more like the store-bought ones. You think they're soaking, but then that almost makes like a little layer, so be careful of that. Oh, I don't know, I'm gonna need more coffee. I mean, I know I was going to because I'm gonna make another big one, but I don't have quite enough to finish. But that's 1 pot of coffee, and the equivalent, almost equivalent of the liquore di caffè, the borghetti, or Kahlua, was about, you know, that's a 9-cup, I think, espresso pot. So, I don't know what that means in cups. Next time I'll measure it. But anyway, you know, that made almost 1.5 tiramisu. So, you know, you're gonna have to do that 2 or 3 times if you wanna make 2 big ones, but it's not too bad. But anyway, that is how I make my tiramisu. This is one of my favorite recipes. I've just shared it with you. I know I kind of was doing, I've never, I know most of my recipes. I've taught almost all of them. This one I've never taught before. I just do it. And so to try to think about how to share it with you today, I was like, what should I do first? Because I always just go. But just start off by making your coffee, get your liquor out, make either your whipped cream or your egg whites or your both. And, mix up your cream and then just, have these. It is nice making these the day before. You can do it all in one day. It's not a big deal, but it is nice. Make the cake the day before, then just slice it up and go to town assembling. It's really not hard. There's a few steps, but it is so, so, so worth it. Okay. So this is my, one of my favorite recipes. And I hope that you will try it. I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope that, for example, if you try it the way I do it with the coffee and the coffee flavors, let me know what you think. If you want to try it with the traditional mixing the marsala with the coffee or rum with the coffee, or some people use brandy or amaretto, whatever your flavor is, try it. Food is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to bring us to the table and dessert. And I can guarantee you this is a dessert that will keep them at the table, because this is just definitely something everybody in my house is like, oh, you made the tiramisu. So please do me a favor. Please, like and subscribe and follow all my stuff. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope that you enjoyed this week with me giving you a couple of my favorite recipes, the brojol and my tiramisu. These are two of my favorites that are part of my life. The brojol from my grandmother, the tiramisu from my friend, that enticed me to want to make this with my original recipe. And then I spent 20 years. It took me a number of years to get it the way I considered it to be really good. And now this is how I make it. So, but like I said, you can cook the egg. You don't have to cook the egg. You can put the whites in. You don't have to put the whites in. But it's the main key ingredients that you have to have. The egg yolks, whether they're cooked or raw, still come out pretty much the same flavor. So it's definitely yummy. I would say cheers, but this is just water. But anyway, have a good day, everybody. Ciao, ciao.